Do you get irritated by horns, like people honking on the road, using a lot of horn? If you're abroad, obviously you might not hear of it much, but in India we do use the horn sound a lot. And as much as some of us use it, there are some of us who get really, really annoyed and find it very irritating when somebody is going on honking behind us. So what would you do if somebody is really constantly honking? Behind you, somebody is coming and they're constantly pressing the horn. What would your reaction be? I'm guessing we would be irritated, we will give them a glare and things like that, right? So here's what happened today. One of my friend called and she told me this very funny story. Apparently her husband was returning from work. It's about 7-8 kilometers distance, and when he started the car, there was some problem with the car, due to which the horn sound automatically went on and then it wouldn't go off. No matter what he tried to do, the horn sound is just persistently on. Now he actually drove back around 8 kilometers of distance with that horn sound constantly on. So imagine others' dismay on the road. People were giving him all sorts of looks. They started abusing. Some were showing their hands. Some were showing all sorts of gestures. And the worst part was when he stopped at a signal, he also was still honking. He was not honking, but the car horn was still on. So you can imagine how crazy others would have thought that this man is to actually have the honking sound on even when you were stopping at a traffic signal. So there was this lady who literally almost wanted to get down and abuse him, but thankfully the signal turned green, so they moved. When somebody came close to this man, he was very humble, so he was just folding his hands and saying, sorry, the horn is not working. So then they left it. But for the majority of us who do not have a context, we may most often just go by what's actually happening. So it's like if somebody is honking to that degree, I find it so funny. I think if you find somebody honking to that degree, it's natural that we get irritated because we're thinking he's honking so much, what's wrong with him? But that's always one side of the story. What we see is often, as convincing as it may be, is often just one side of the story. There is more to this than what we already know. So when we come to a conclusion about things, when we judge things, we may not be open to understanding what the other person actually is going through. And thereby what actually happens is when we finally get to know what actually happened, we might feel very guilty for having jumped the gun too soon and for having come to a conclusion and judged the person or behaved badly with them. Imagine if somebody was behind you and they were honking and you just went and abused them, and then later you found out, oh no, his car is not working and that's why the whole problem. Wouldn't you be embarrassed for having shouted at them? So next time when we're on the road, next time anywhere, wherever we are, I think when we are getting angry with somebody for doing what they did, one extra second to think of, I don't actually know what's happening on the other side. Let's just wait. Most people on the road thought this man was in great hurry today. Nothing of that sort was actually true, but people assume a lot of things based on what we do. Or we assume a lot of things based on other people do. While we make meanings out of what people do, the important thing to be aware of is not to believe or not to be too convinced about the meanings that we make. Even if we make meanings, take a few minutes to think that this is just my meaning. It may not be the entire truth. There may be more to the story than what I'm already aware of. And if you leave that much of gap for you to be influenced, when you find the truth, you will not feel guilty for having jumped the gun or for having misbehaved with somebody else. And that's the very least we could do as humanity, right? So here's making sure that all of us pause before we get irritated with someone who's honking. We don't know what reasons people have. We don't know whose car has stopped functioning or what actually happened. So beyond what meets the eye, there is more. So let's watch out for what's more than what meets our eyes, so that we are being kind to ourselves, we are being kind to others too. And with this lockdown and corona and all this happening, I think there is more need for kindness than there ever has been. We got to be kind because we actually don't know who's going through what deep within their hearts. What we see is just the surface level. There is always more. So wishing you a lot of patience and peace thereof. Keep loving, be kind to each other, stay blessed. And this is Narmada Rao, psychologist and an NLP trainer, signing out. If you have questions, please reach out to us through our website www.masteryourself.in or through our phone number 95669 42555. Thanks a bunch for watching. Take care. Stay blessed.